What is going on, my Atomic Truck Works friends? I am dying right now. I don't know what possessed me. I said I would go through and we'd put the seat together. I can't even talk. My mouth is watering. I went and tried Dave's hot chicken, and they had the Reaper. I love hot stuff, and I just went and tried it. It was hot. I'm like an idiot. I just ate a bunch of it again. And the Reaper stuff, I mean, for a chicken joint, it is no joke. It's pretty hot. I should have known because you like eat it, and then you feel the heat climbing, and then boom, it just keeps on growing. It definitely has a Reaper. It says it's Reaper, but it's definitely Reaper. Oh my Lord. Okay, anyway, let's get on with this video. I have no time to do it, but I told you we're going to do it, so we're going to do it. This is the bottom cushion of the seat for the Dodge 2500. Ram 2500. We put heated seats in here. A lot of people are always asking, how do you put a heated seat in? How do you make your seat function? Have the seat cover function. Sorry, I'm dying here, but we're going to get through this. On the bottom of the seats, obviously you have your Velcro, then you have your listing, and this is the actual piece that you hog ring to the seat. On a standard seat without these heated seats, you could take your listing rod, excuse me, put it down here and just hog ring to the listing that's inside of the seat. So inside the seat, there's actually a piece of metal, and my mouth's drooling, I'm dying here. Inside the seat, there's a piece of metal. Normally, that gets hog ringed to it, and that's how your seat stays on. It pushes it down and gives it a nice definition. A lot of people, when they put heated seats on, they'll free float it or just stuff it in there and put the seat cover on there. You end up losing the definition of the seat, and a lot of times you want that. The seat cover is made to be pulled down so it pulls tight. So when you just free float it, the seat's going to be a little bit baggier and not look good. So I want to use that all around. Anybody who's still watching this now, thanks for watching, because just to get to this point, I'm dying. So we want the seat to look right, and you can't hog ring through a lot of the heated seats. Some of them you could cut them. These ones here, you don't want to break any of the wiring. If you break the wire, it doesn't work. If you break a wire, it could actually burn and fry the seat cover a little bit. I've never seen one catch fully on fire, but I have seen them burn them pretty decently. So what we're doing is we made our listing wire here. If you can see, it goes from left to right, and we could hog ring it on the sides because it's past the seat, the heated seat element, but we definitely want to hold it in the middle. So what I did is went in between the wires. You could see where the wires are, and poked a hole through there. And actually, so this here they call a regulator, right? Regulators, regulate. So I love these things. This is my favorite tool. I just call them a poker, but these are my favorite tools in the shop. If you were to ask me, out of everything we have, sewing machines, spray guns, welders, everything, I love these regulators by CS Osborne. There will be a link in the description below, so you could purchase the same things that we use. I love these things so much. I actually, ironically, couldn't find my favorite one, gave up, and just went and bought the new ones. And then when I got back with these, this one popped up. But this one's already broken. You can see someone must have tried to use it and broke it. Drives me crazy. So love these things. This is the all metal regulator. It's really cool. It's a great tool. You could actually hook threads or through this and actually poke it through if you wanted to. But I guess I could have used that on this technically. Well, it's kind of too wide. But so what I end up doing is I took this other tool, which I don't even know what these are called, and I had modified this one. I actually cut a V in it. Someone broke it already, but I cut a V in it. So what I do is take our wire, or our rope here, cut it, bada boom. Then I'll put it underneath here. And I didn't invent this. This is some old school stuff here. This is how the old Corvettes, all the Corvettes seat covers were held on with rope back in the day. A lot of the seats were. So I just hook it and this with this little tool and push it through. And then you reach underneath it and you can grab it and pull it through if you're lucky. One of them didn't go. So we're going to do the other one. There we go. Now we got both of them. So now I'm just pulling from below. I'll pull both of them. If I can find this one. Where's this one over here? Pulling from below, and you can see I just grabbed the rod that we're going to hog ring to. So now we'll flip it over. This one here has some metal wires here. So I'm just going to go to these metal wires. And we're just going to tie it off. We don't need it super tight, just enough to hold it down to keep it pressure. What's nice and pain in the ass is on the old Corvettes and stuff, you could actually adjust the depth of the pleats and seams with these. So if you pull them tighter, you can pull it a little bit deeper. but they were a bear because if you pull one more than the other, when you look at the actual seat cover, it'd be deeper in spots. So you got to really pay attention to what you're doing. So if anybody's going to Dave's Hot Chicken, it's starting to dissipate now. That was 2 pieces about that big. I was impressed. They're like, you got to sign a waiver. I'm like, a waiver? I've had some hot chicken before. And the guy laughed at me. And I'm impressed, Dave. I thought it was just somebody opening up a wacky place in the Berlin Turnpike here in Connecticut. Then I realized that it's a big franchise all over the place. It looks like kind of a cool joint. A very busy place. I'm not sponsored by them. I'm just kind of talking as I'm working. And I'm trying to get this fucking heat out of my mouth. Okay. So now, let me tighten these up. I'm always 3. I always tie everything in 3s for some reason. 2 can unravel. 4 is a waste of time. Now, what you have here is this is our new listing wire that we're going to hog ring to. We'll still have to be careful because when you hog ring your seat cover to it, you don't want to go through the wiring of the heated seats or chafe or burn anything. And I got to put one more hog ring into the seat cover, which I'll show you for all of you who, a lot of people are like, you got to hog tie these things in this hog ring. So what we'll do is I'm going to do it and show you at the same time, hopefully. So this metal rod, our metal rod we just put in on top of the heated seat. There's one that's in the foam underneath there. And what we want to do is hook those, grab them, and pull them. You'll hear me say, excuse me, Dave's Hot Chicken. You'll hear me say when you pull these all the time, you get a lot of guys and gals that will put their listing wire rods on or their seat cover and they'll hog ring it and then they'll like go, ooh, it's down there. Because they're afraid to tug on it, because if you tug on it a lot of times it comes off, and if it comes off, you have to re-hog ring it. It's much better to pull the crap out of this now and make sure that it doesn't come off than it is when you get the whole seat cover on and you realize when you look at the seam and the butt seam goes like this. You don't want that. I'm kind of worried about butt seams after eating hot chicken too. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you this. I don't really feel like dragging the camera over here. You're going to have to watch more of our videos when I'm not in a hurry, and I'll show you more. So now we're just going to take our seat cover with the listing rod in it to the listing rod that we put in there. We're just going to hog ring them together. Hog rings, right? Little hog rings. See? It's just a little piece of metal. Bada boom. A little C. Goes into the hog ring pliers. They have a little groove to hold them in there. Pretty simple thing. You put them in and you squeeze them. It's pretty simple. However, I did work with a guy one time that I showed him how to do it. Had him do this for a week and then pulled them off to do other stuff for a month. Put them back on. And he couldn't remember how to use hog ring pliers, manual ones. Not that the pneumatic ones are any different. As I'm doing this, lining up my Velcro on the seams, making sure they're exactly where they go, making sure your seat's centered, listing to listing. And we're going to put a couple hog rings in there. When you're doing hog rings, manual is easier than pneumatic. Well, I say easier. It's just you get into less trouble. So you want to make sure you go through your listing material around the other rod, through the rod, whole other rod. Do not go through the seat cover because you'll poke a hole in it and you'll see it. I've seen that done before. And do not hit the heated seat element. So we got to be very careful to go around this now. I'm going to go right and do I'm going to do both ends first so I don't have to worry about it. Now we're going to sneak in here and just put a couple hog rings through and through. So you can see everything's easy until you do it yourself. Then it becomes a challenge. Now, I got a mess here. All my videos say never have crap on your workbench because when you spin a seat cover, you could rip it, you can make a mess, you get stuff all over the place. I'm working like a slob right now. We are so backed up. As soon as it gets warm out, everybody's calling all the time. We have signs that were closed, do not come in, appointment only, and people still show up. It's insanity. Okay, let me clean up my mess here so I could do what I say and not what I do. Do what I do and not what I say. Do what I say and do. Do not leave super glue on your table. Holy cow, Dave's Hot Chicken. Every time I turn around, it kicks me in the butt. I had one. I thought I was driving. I go, I'll try a little bite of this. And I go, that's not that hot. So then I took another bite of the chicken. And it's like I guess the Red Reaper, some of them. At first, they're not too crazy. And then they just keep building, piling up the heat. And that's what this does. And then I got a spice or something stuck in my throat. And I thought I was going to die. People were probably looking at me like, what the heck's this idiot doing? Well, they look at me. It's like that. Okay, so table's clean. Always want our heat gun. Bada boom, heat gun, right? I think we're just going to put the seat cover on the cushion, and I'm just going to go and finish the rest. I got a lot of shit to do, and this is tiring. So here's the seat cover. You've heard me say in the other videos that we did when we were working on this material, as cool as it is, does not stretch well. It does not work easily. So if you're starting off, I don't recommend using this material to learn on. So we're going to get it warm. Whenever you have a pocket, you know, like a pocket, and you're heating, you always be careful, because that's like exponential heat. The heat's getting built up a lot more inside there. So we're getting this nice and warm, right? Right. Just gonna sit here and take a minute. Okay. Now let's do this. So spin this. When you're rolling your material around, imagine this. I like to take my hands and curve around it, and then go like move with the material. It's almost like what do you call it? Yoga? Move? No, Tai Chi. You move with it. So now we're going to roll this around. And so this material was sitting inside out, so you can see some of the wrinkles on it. And yes, you can put the seat cover on, and this stuff's going to stretch out. But as we're working it, if you take the time to get it warm and work the wrinkles out, it'll make your job easier in the long run. So now I'm just going to come through and heat this up. Whenever you have a seat cover like this, you see how it's wrinkled like that? It's wrinkled for two reasons. One, we're using a soft sew foam, and soft sew foam feels better. Some people say they like it soft. I don't like how it works. You got to do a little extra work to make it look good sometimes. So I'm going to get this warm, but you don't want to heat up where there's a fold or wrinkle or crease, because when you heat it up, you could reprint it and make it there permanently. I sound like a broken record for those of you who continue to watch our videos. So now I'm just going to pull this. I'm going to massage it. Kind of rub it down, slap it. Oh! So you can see it's getting a little better. There's still some stuff in here. It was folded up for a while, so you're going to see that. And then afterwards, I don't usually have to slap the shit out of a cushion. Usually the backrest you do, which we'll get into that one, because that backrest is going to be a nightmare, and I'll tell you why when we get there. So you could heat this up. You could literally pull this and slap it, and that's going to move the material towards wherever you want to go and take out some of the wrinkles. So now we're going to this side here. We're going to make sure there's no creases in there, get it warm. My hand's in there. If it's too hot for my hand, it's too hot for the material. If you watch our videos and you haven't heard me say that, you might not be that smart. I say it every video like a broken record. Same thing. We're going to get my hands in there, grab that seam, and roll it. There's some things you do when after you've done upholstery for a while that you learn in the beginning and you don't even realize you do. The way you grip the material as you're rolling it. And the reason is when you first start doing upholstery and you go to pull a cover around and it's tight, a lot of times where the stitching ends like a butt seam, you'll actually rip that. It'll actually peel off there. So now we'll do the same thing. You see it's got some creases up here. Move that around, move it front and back. So you can see there, like right there, I don't know if you saw that little oops. When I slapped it, I wasn't pulling it, and it just puts a little wrinkle in there. So you got to be careful and stuff like that. So we're going to heat it back up, right? Get it warm. This material does not heat well, does not stretch well. Looks really good when it's done right. I don't know if we're going to do it right. Okay, so I'm going to pull it. I just ripped it up off the Velcro. So this is Velcro here and here. I just pulled it up off the Velcro, re-stretched it, and then pushed it down. And you can see by doing that, you get a nice, better seam here. And you took a lot of the wrinkles out, and we haven't even stretched it around yet. Do the same thing over here now, because I'm not feeling this guy over here. So we're going to heat it. And again, some people don't do this. They just stretch the hell out of it. And if it's tight enough, it will eventually pull some of the wrinkles out. I like to make sure it's stretched before you go, usually. So now we're going to do the same thing. Take it off the Velcro. And pull it tight. I'm holding where my listing was, because I don't want to really move. I don't want to put too much pressure on that. Okay, so now we're doing all right here for a hack. Has been hack. So now you can see this is tight. I like it tight. And this is where sometimes the slapping comes involved. If it's too tight, you need to move the material forward. And I know I do have to move this material forward because when I was pulling it backwards, I saw a couple of wrinkles and I knew I couldn't go any further back. So we're gonna have to readjust it. So I'm getting this hot, trying not to get the, I don't even know what the heck this material is called. I knew, but I don't anymore. Because you don't want to burn that. So now we're just gonna get that around, and you want it nice and tight. When you're working in car seats and you have your hands underneath here, a lot of people wear gloves. You probably should wear gloves. This stuff is, well, this stuff isn't as bad as normal, but everything under here is sharp. Ram, you did a great job rounding off the edges of this stuff and using a thicker metal. A lot of vehicles, it's especially like Toyotas and stuff, it's so sharp because it's just sharp sheet metal. Okay, so now we're gonna do the same thing here. Pay attention. You want to make sure where your holes are, because when you put the tracks on it, you want to know where they are. If you pattern everything exactly perfectly right and put the cover on exactly perfectly right, you're not gonna, you'll see your holes because you'll have them lined up. Mine are probably not gonna be there today. We're gonna have to pull it a little bit. We got this nice and warm, and now we want this here. See how it's the original ones that are cut out, the plastic's cut out to go around stuff. So now we're there, but you can see this here. This is gonna have to get pulled this way. Boom, see that? All gone. Got some little straggler strings here. Boom, all gone. This goes around here. Now this one here, we're gonna get this on, and then we're not gonna do the back here. We're gonna save that for last because we want to get the backrest on there. It bolts to the sides. That's what these flappers are for. Bolt them on, then pull them around, pull this over. So we'll get to that when we get to that. A little couple of string beans here, just like that. This one is ready for the backrest. So once the backrest on, we're gonna pull these around, pull this tight, give a little more pressure on here, and then we get all the wrinkles out and make it pretty. Right, so I just put the cushion to the side and we are moving to the backrest. What I did is we put plastic on here. It's a thin plastic. No, this is not for moisture. And yes, if this was a vehicle that got wet, like a dune buggy or a trophy truck or something like that, that's gonna get wet, I probably wouldn't put plastic here because I personally like the foam to breathe. So if it gets moisture, it wicks out, it's gone, and then you have a dry foam. But these trucks don't get wet, most vehicles don't, and it really helps putting the seat cover on. I tried to do the last seat cover without it, and I regretted that. So we're about to put this on, covered in plastic. I did lightly tack it down just so it doesn't move around. I don't like when it's all over the place, and I didn't really want it anywhere near the heated seat. Check the seat cover before you go. Make sure listing rod's in there, plastic clips are in and in the right direction. And then we're gonna put this on. And I gotta do it on the floor, so I don't know if you're gonna be able to see. And since we don't have a cameraman or woman, we are going to do it ourselves. So you wanna take your seat cover, and I'm short with short arms. You wanna line it up in the center, and then you have to roll it, which is really challenging when you're short. You wanna make it look good around the top. Take a look at it, make sure it's going on right. Rolling it around the sides. We're gonna work our way down, just like I showed you on the cushion. You get your hands kind of to the side. You kind of wanna push it, roll your hand as you're going. Pull it down nice and tight, make sure it's centered and looks good. I'm trying to keep it as far down as I can as we go, because it gets to be a pain when you get this seat cover too far down. If it's not lined up, sometimes it's hard to realign it, which we'll show you. So we're gonna hog ring there, so I have to make sure that it gets down to that point. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna push. I wanna get this really far down. I'm getting close. And a stitch popped. So let me take this off and re-sew it. I'll show you what happened. I just realized as I went through, one of the stitches popped there, so I got to run up and re-sew that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so that's all fixed. So the reason that stitch popped is because I wanted to trim the salvage off of it, just because on these vehicles, a lot of times it gets puckery around the top. So I trimmed it, but I did what I always say. I'm looking at this side. I must have tapped one of the threads with the scissors on the other side and not seen it. But we fixed it, we're done. Take two. As you're walking these seat covers down, you want to kind of watch your seams and see where they go on the foam and just follow them as they go, and I'll show you. So I'm standing on the seat. So if you see here, you can see where the factory original stitching was, the butt seams. So you just want to make sure as you're putting this down, you're folding, you're rolling in the same direction. Same thing on this side. You want to make sure as you're going down, you're following that. And now I'm just trying to get this down far enough so that I could make sure my top is good, which it actually looks pretty good. And now we're just going to keep going back and forth on both sides, bring it down a little bit. I'll keep my hand like this and I'm rolling it. If the material kinks up, then you're going to have to slap the crap out of it afterwards to get some of those wrinkles out, which is common. You do a little bit of each time. If you're patient, you do a little each time, you're not going to rip it. So I'm right where the listing is where I want. So now we're going to go through and do the listing like we did in the previous one. Let me grab that. So now we're just going to, I don't know if you can see that over there. I'm just going to go around. There's a bar back here. Now I don't need this super tight. We're not looking for a huge tucked pleat on this. We just want to make sure that our listing wire stays down and looks nice. 3 is enough for the ties, 4 is too much. Right, boom. Now we'll do the same thing to the other side. Okay. So now we got that, I want to heat this up a little bit and just move it down just to get some of the wrinkles out before we hog ring it together. Now we're going to put you want to make sure that your listing lines up well, which this one lines up perfect. You want to make sure that your seams on the side are where they're supposed to be. You want to make sure that your seams coming down the middle are centered, and then we could hog ring it if I had some hog rings. Again, same as before, try not to hog ring. I always start in the center, but you don't want to hog ring through the heated seat elements. And we did not do that. And then we're going to do 3 is enough, 4 is too much. Same thing. That's all we wrote. All she wrote. So now we can proceed to move these down. You can see we get it warm as we're going. And the farther you go down pulling these seats, the harder it's going to be because these seats get really wide and it gets narrow. So when you're doing these, you're going to want to pull this material down. You just want to make sure that this is rolling as you're coming down. You don't want to see how it starts to fold up. You don't want to do that because then it's going to make it a lot harder to line everything up. And it does sometimes get a challenge because it's very tight. So we're just going to take our time, work back and forth, use your head, literally. Bring this one down. Bring that one down. If all goes well, it'll unravel right at the bottom and look good. So we got that one down. I got that one down there. So you can see you got little puckers here, which we could very easily stretch all that out. It's not like a big deal. I do see I have to pull this around. We're gonna have to pull this back and smack it down. Get it nice and warm. We want these wrinkles out. It's actually cold here. So if you heat the vinyl up, keep it moving. And imitation leather, not vinyl. 25 years ago, if you said you're putting vinyl on, everybody's like, I want leather. Now the new imitation leathers are so nice and so consistent. Although for me, nothing beats real leather, except for the price. Now we're gonna look and see if we're close or we're far off. So we have to, on the bottom, we have to make the pieces hook together. And this actually went together really nice. So I think we're in a good place here. I'm gonna cut the piece out here, but I need to move the cover over a little bit. Before you cut anything, you want to make sure everything's lined up and good. So we're just going to heat this all up again, and then we're going to clip the channel. Sometimes the channels could be a nightmare to clip the bottom clips together. I think on this one it might be all right. I wanted it really tight to try to make sure that when you pull it, any of that stuff comes out. You see, you get these. A lot of times you get a pucker right where the butt seams are. I want to make sure that's out. So let's see if this is, if this is going to work. Actually, I got to do a spot for the heated seats first. I want this to come out right here. So if you did it right, made the pattern, everything good, when you pull your cover around, it's going to be tight. A little bit of a challenge to get these clips to click in, but they will click in. And these sometimes test your true strength. You gotta force them, they get sharp, even though it's plastic. And I tell you, when they go together easy like that, you hear that little clip, whew, you feel good. Some of these things you will fight and fight and fight and fight and hurt and pain. I had one the other day. I was holding the thing so much together for so long, my hands were cramping up. And then luckily Lewis came over and I had him hold it while I clicked him in. I'm not big on two people working on one job, but sometimes the extra set of hands is good. And I think being fat helps a lot because sometimes you can put more weight on these things to squish them down and get the clamps. I've seen some little guys and little gals try to jump on, actually literally stand on the seats to push them down to clip them, and they just don't weigh enough to do them. So there's one benefit of being fat, LOL. And we start assembling the seat. What I like to do is we bag and tag everything, so every nut and bolt we take off comes off the seat. We mark it driver's seat, passenger seat, cushion, backrest, and what it does, so that when you're going to put things back together, even if you weren't the one to take it apart, it goes together a little bit easier. I lay out all my bolts so I know what goes where. And now I'm just going to start over here, and I'm going to slip this in here where it's going to go. And I want to come over there and just get this shoulder bolt started. See if I could work backwards without blocking the camera. So this goes here. If you go to do this and you're putting bolts in, you can't start them and just get them really far in, if not like almost all the way by hand. You should always just take the bolts off and chase them so they go in easy and makes your life easier. So many people you work with will put stuff on, they try to put it on with a impact or just force it on, and then they strip it, and then it's just like, instead of taking the time in the beginning to do it right, you get this chasing your tail, fixing damage that you did. You'll hear me say a lot too, the difference between someone who does some versus a car builder is car builders always think things out before they do them. So you kind of think there's a problem coming. You know if you don't chase the bolts, you're going to be fighting to get them in. And if you just take the time to chase them and put them in, everything just goes so much smoother. It's amazing because you'll go through and put one of these seats together and it goes together really nice and easy, and you'll watch someone struggling and they won't, like if you have to go through vinyl or a material into something, they won't cut the hole out where it's supposed to be and cut it out right so that everything goes together. They'll try to poke a little hole and and it's just endlessly stupid. Okay, so I started this without tools. Let me go grab them. All right, so I got these, obviously you saw me throw them in. One thing you always want to check is if you're impacting things, you'll find that like a lot of Chrysler vehicles have soft bolts that snap easy. So you don't want to over tighten them with an impact wrench because you can snap them. But even when you have your impact wrench, you always want to take and test it yourself. And one thing that's kind of cool is if you go to like some of the places like AllData, some of the software companies or the companies that have all the specs on this stuff, they'll actually tell you torque specs. They even have torque specs for taking off a door panel screw, which is kind of cool so you don't mess up. So now I'm going to do this. I'm not going to use the Torx on the, we got the inverted, well actually it's the Torx. Get this nice and tight. This is a shoulder bolt, so you want it tight, but it's not going to pinch the seat together because you want the seat to rotate. Some seats have ratcheting mechanisms on both sides. Some just have a pivot point and a ratchet. This one has a pivot point and a ratchet. Now that that's done, we could actually put our tracks. So actually, before we do our tracks, I'll show you something we had talked about earlier, the back flaps here. Because we added heated seats to this, I have to make a couple of provisions to make sure the wires come out and go where we want them to go. Earlier, we talked about this back panel, why we didn't put this over here. So this and this come around to hook to there. I actually got to hook that up first. Almost forgot there's a little circle thing that pops onto here that holds this where it needs to be. So we're gonna have to pull that really tight. I actually want to heat everything up and move it. And then we have to poke the hole for the actual handle. Okay, so now we got to do our side handle. So you want to make sure you got know exactly where your handle is going to be. Some people say they like to use scissors because razor blades you could slip and fall, or slip and make a big gash in it, which I have seen. I've also seen damages with scissors as well. So what I did, I snipped the vinyl, pushed that around. Now we can cut the foam with the razor. Dullest razor in the world. Okay, so now we push that through. You can see that's through. We want to put there's a little keyway in there. You want to make sure that that gets, and honestly I can't see it because I got the lights blowing in my face and nothing. It's like that side is bright, behind me is dark. So everything I see is dark and everything you see is a little bit brighter. So pretty much right even with that hole. So this is even with that one. That's exactly where I had it. Okay, so now we could go around and we have our back clipped together. Now I want to do these sides here, move the heated seats out of the way. That clipped in, this fell off. Let's get this bad boy back on. All right, here we are on the home stretch here. So we just got cushions or the tracks on. And you can see, so because we went and heated it and stretched it and did all that as we were going, the seat's actually already in a really good spot right now. You look at it underneath here, we have some little wrinkles that we're gonna take out. Now, the fun part, we can just go through and spend a little time. We don't have to spend a ton of time because we already did a lot of the groundwork, but we can get this nice and warm. We'll try to smack some of these out. We're gonna make sure that our seams all line up. We gotta move some stuff around here. When you're doing this, you wanna be careful because you don't want, these heat guns get very hot and you don't wanna touch the material because you can melt it. Now it's getting warm. Just gonna try to massage it down. I actually gotta pull this over a little bit. I'll push this one there a little bit. Now you can spend as much time as you want heating this and moving around and getting really particular with it, which is the nice part about doing this. And I'm gonna get it really close and then we'll do the final adjustments probably in the vehicle because it's just gonna be a matter of, if the guys are putting audio in it and they kneel on the seat or something like that, they could put a wrinkle so before it goes out, we just wanna make sure that we heat all that up and get all that out because you don't want customers taking their vehicles with wrinkles in it. So now that we have this seat done, we are gonna move to the center console, the door panels, the carpet, and we're gonna button it up and we'll kind of bring you through each step of that. Sorry this video took a little longer than average, but hopefully it was helpful and you liked it. Please, it would help us if you remember to like, share, follow, subscribe, ring the bell, all that stuff. Thank you for watching.